G'day everyone, my name's Cautious Pancake, and one thing I've been meaning to mess around with a little more is the new water physics in Alpha 21. And what I was thinking was that I could use it to answer a question that I keep getting asked, and that's if traders actually breathe like players do. So to test it, I'm going to try and fill the compound of Trader Bob here with water and see what happens. And apparently he knows what's coming, so he won't even look at me. Now the first thing I have to check is if it's possible to simply pour water from a bucket into the trader compound, in case the build protection doesn't cover water, but unfortunately it does. It also protects against using the creative mode water blocks, so it looks like we need to go outside the compound for this. My plan is to build a wall around the outside of the trader, with the wall on the closest block that we can build on to minimize the number of blocks needed. Then once the wall is in place, we should be able to pour water from buckets against the wall and have that flow down inside the trader compound. Do this enough times and it should eventually fill up, although given the size of the trader compounds, it could take a while. While I build out the first level of the wall, you might be wondering why I picked Trader Bob to use. When looking at his compound, he's 1 block off the ground and the fence is 4 blocks high. Also, the fence might let water through as it's made of chain link and the building is open with a garage door to let water in. Looking at the other traders, I don't want to use Trader Joel as he's up on the second level, 5 blocks off the ground at least, so that would require a lot more water and a higher wall. Trader Jen is 3 blocks off the ground, but the building itself has no openings, which might cause us some problems, particularly if we're trying to build this quickly. Trader Hugh, although he's on the ground floor, has a 5 block high fence and it doesn't look like that would allow water through, so again, this would require a big fence and lots of water. And lastly, Trader Rect, who is very similar to Bob, standing 1 block off the ground. It's just that his building has no openings. Anyway, right or wrong, I'm going with Bob, and building this wall 4 blocks high all the way around took 1,166 blocks. Now that we've got the wall in place, it's time to work out how to add in the water. First thing we're going to do is come down here and pick probably a midpoint in the wall to try and flow the water through this gate here. This is looking pretty good, so let's start by trying our water bucket. Grabbing the water bucket, we should be able to hopefully throw this down against the inside of the wall here, and as you can see, the water does flow down to the ground. Unfortunately, with the dev mode or the creative mode water blocks, we can't place these within the build protection area of the trader, so instead we're going to need to knock out some small part of the wall, and we can then build a little shelf around the outside and force the water to flow inside of the compound this way. As you can see, this allows us to use the creative mode blocks, which are much easier to handle on scale for this sort of test. Just to make life a little easier though, I might also just knock out the blocks all the way down to the ground so we don't risk water overflowing the wall as we're trying to throw lots of it in at once. So we just need to knock out some of these blocks and rebuild the wall like this, then give ourselves the ability to get back up. That would help, like that. And get rid of the staircase because we don't want zombies up here. With that done, it's now time to add in lots and lots of water blocks. Here's a time lapse of the first 500 being added. As you can see, that spreads out to cover probably about a quarter of the first level of the trader compound. We can then add in the second 500 from the other side. And here's how that looks after 1,000 water blocks have been added. Adding in the third lot of 500 water. You can see that it starts to merge up with the existing lot. And finally, here's the fourth lot of 500 water blocks. With 2,000 water blocks now added, or the equivalent of 2,000 buckets, let's take a quick look around and see how things look. As you can see, pretty much the entire interior of the trader compound is now underwater. It's even flowing inside the washing machine there, which is pretty cool. Is that a washing machine or a dryer? Anyway, doesn't matter. If we get up here, you'll be able to see outside of the trader compound fence is also pretty much covered, but it's not consistent. If you come around here, you can see that due to the culvert here requiring a little bit of extra water, this far corner hasn't quite been filled up, and the same actually applies in the other far corner as well. Anyway, that's the first level pretty much done. Now it's time to add more water. When doing the second level, you can see that the water starts to flow and tends to fill up some of the blank spaces down in the corners first, but then adds a second level on top of the existing level of water. Doing a quick flyby, we can see that this corner has been filled. And if we do another 500 blocks of water over here, that'll first fill up the corner and then start to add the second level. Okay, after another 2,000 water blocks have been added, I think that's 4,000 in total now. You can see that we've got little piles of 2 levels of water at each of the midpoints. Here, it's the third one over here, and here's the 4th one over here. They're not always consistent in size, and you can see that we do definitely slow down when we try and move through them, so there is definitely 2 levels of water there, and that's how things look after about 4,000 buckets of water. Moving on, after about 6,000 blocks of water, you can see that the trader compound is pretty much entirely covered to the second level. And if we head inside, you'll be able to see that that's now flooded the inside of the trader, at least up to the second level, which due to these stairs here means that there's only a single block of water on the floor, and that's also in behind where Trader Bob is, so it's not prevented from flowing in behind where he is. It's a little bit patchy, but it's obviously making its way in there. So we should be good to keep adding water, and eventually things will fill up where Trader Bob is. So here we are after 10,000 blocks of water. We're starting to move on to the third level, as you can see. It's a little patchy. I've started adding water in the corners as well as the midpoints to try and fill things out a little bit more evenly. It hasn't made a huge difference to the rate of increase. One thing I have noticed is the higher you get up, the longer and the harder it is, it seems, to fill up the third level. Here we are again, and as you can see, we're almost to the point now where we just need to do this midpoint over here, and hopefully we should be at the point then where the water is 3 blocks high all the way through. So what we might do is set up the camera where we can see Bob and the water coming in, and run a quick time lapse and see if Bob goes underwater. Oh my goodness, I don't think it's quite going to cover his head. That's so annoying. I thought 3 blocks was definitely going to be enough, but as you can see, he can kind of breathe. The water's lapping over his mouth, but not covering his head entirely. So unfortunately, I think we're going to have to go up another level, and it's certainly not doing any damage to him at this point. Alright, 4 levels of water it is. Let's go. Okay, here we are finally with the water 4 blocks high all the way through the trader compound. You can see through the back here it's almost flooding up over the roof in parts, and it's filled up the shipping container behind as well. If we pop inside, however, the water is only 3 blocks high inside. Seems that the water can't push under the lip of the building. However, it is sneaking through the back here, as you can see behind Bob, and is 4 blocks high there. So we need one final big push of adding in a bunch more water, so that should finally flood the inside of Trader Bob all the way over his head. There we go. I think we've got it.
Just to let you folks know, the Trader Joel's will be closing soon.
Just in time for closing. Before he does, let's just quickly have a look. He's definitely underwater there. He's not losing any health, but we can still talk to him and trade just like normal.
Thanks anyways. You be careful out there.
So there you have it, the answer to a question no one asked, that it is not currently possible to drown a trader in 7 days to die. Oh, and in case you were wondering, I used 17,837 water blocks to raise the water over Bob's head, so this isn't something that's practical in game using actual buckets of water. Please leave me a like if you've enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this one. As always, thanks for watching, and happy building.